Gerry Taft, Realtor and Personal Real Estate Corporation with Mountain Town Properties based in Invermere, BC. And I'm here today to do a little bit of a summary on real estate stats for 2023, looking back at the year that was, and then some potential projections or ideas of what might come in 2024. So let's look at the numbers. So if we do a quick comparison of Novembers to Novembers, by the end of November of this year, 2023, to the end of November 2022, year to date, what we're looking at for total number of sales in the Columbia Valley, that's basically Canal Flats to Spill-A-Machine. For 2023, we have a total of 473 closed firm sales, and the same time last year was 575. So that shows about 18% decrease in the number of units. But what's interesting is when you dig into some of the specifics for houses and different categories within Invermere and the different areas, the numbers, they're not quite as straightforward. It's not across the board that there's an 18% decrease in volume this year. So let's look at some of the more detailed numbers. So this year in Invermere for single family homes, up until this date actually, there has been 52 homes sold. And for the same time period last year, there was 49 homes sold. So we've actually seen more homes sold in Invermere this year. It's also a similar story, 64 units this year compared to 59 units last year. So the volume in Invermere is actually up from the year before. Rural has a bit of a different story though. For this year, 86 homes sold. Last year it was 106. So you see some declines there in the volume. And the big difference from last year to this year is attached units, condos, townhouses, that style, in the rural areas outside of Invermere. So this includes Fairmont and Panorama. This year we're looking at 62 units, and the year before was 107. And the big difference there is Panorama. In 2022, there was 48 units sold at Panorama, and this year there's only 27. So that's quite a decrease, about a 44% decrease in the volume of units sold at Panorama. So kind of interesting when you look at Radium, the number of homes sold in Radium is actually tied. 15 homes this year, 15 homes last year. Number of condo and attached units, we're also looking at very similar numbers, 73 back in 2022 and 74 this year. For Canal Flats, also fairly similar. Last year was 10 homes, this year is 11 homes. Fits what is probably a logical trend with increased interest rates and some decreased occupancy in the winter and the slower season, with people traveling more now that travel restrictions have been lifted and people are not as concerned about issues to do with COVID. We're definitely seeing the shine and the popularity of Airbnb and some of the condos has decreased. And a lot of the units that have actually sold recently, even in the attached condo category, have been to full-time buyers. So that's definitely a change in the trend and part of the reason for some of these numbers. Let's talk about active listings. What's available for sale right now? So right now there is a total of 306 active listings, but that includes all categories, and a lot of those are building lots. So that number can actually be higher than is actually accurate for homes itself. When you look at single family homes specifically, right now there is 15 single family homes in Invermere, and only 3 of them are under $650,000. So there's a lot of higher priced product on the market right now. Similar story in Invermere Rural. This is Windermere, Panorama, Fairmont. We're looking at 46 single family homes. 14 of those are under $650,000. Radium has five single family homes listed, and 2 of them are under $650,000. Canal Flats has 6 homes listed, and 5 of them are under $650,000. So it gives you a bit of an idea of the values. There are some very high priced properties which are have not been moving that quickly. The exception to that rule is lakefront. There's been very little lakefront listed on Lake Windermere, and when it has listed, it has sold quite quickly, even when the prices have been quite high. So how does the 306 active listings right now compare to the past? Well, in December last year, we were looking at about 358 active listings. So the number of listings is down from last year, and in all-time low inventory where we had multiple offers and there was really nothing for sale and the market was crazy in 2021. That December, we saw 286 active listings. And back in 2020, when the inventory was starting to sort of disappear and get absorbed, we were at 458 active listings. And when you look back further to when we had a more balanced market and there was a lot of selection, back in 2019, we had 628 listings. So you can sort of see that change in inventory levels. So it's a really interesting market right now where there isn't a lot of selection. What is listed is quite expensive, and yet interest rates are quite high, and buyer demand seems to be soft. So it's a very interesting market. So considering the low inventory and the situation right now, I think right now this time of year is usually the slowest time of year for real estate. People are busy doing Christmas, it's winter, everyone's unsure about what's going to happen. Once we get into the new year and we start to see a little more sunlight and we start to see signs of spring, people really start thinking about summer and about the changes in their life, whether it's a recreational property, whether it's a full-time home and a move. And I think that a lot of people who are thinking about selling are also waiting to see some signs that the market is healthy and waiting for more of a spring market. So my prediction for 2024 is that we're going to see pretty slow volume, not a lot of activity in January and February, and we may then see an uptick in listings and offerings into March and April, and that we will have a healthy spring market. And that may coincide with potentially some decreases in interest rates or some more economic news, which may be positive. And the end result might be not an increase in pricing, but a stabilization of pricing where things that are priced fairly end up selling, and those that are overpriced will sit on the market, and buyers are very savvy. So overall, I think for most of 2024, we're going to see a balanced market where there's some fair situations between buyers and sellers. But I think overall, we will probably see the volume down from this year even. And looking back to on 2023, there was a lot of peaks and valleys where there was activity at some points where it was quite busy and then it would slow down again. And I think we're going to see that again in 2024. One trend that seemed very common this summer and fall was some locals, younger people trying to get into the market, people fed up with the rental market and the risk of losing a rental, and in some cases getting into the market with the help of parents and older generation helping financially to be able to get into property. So we will probably continue to see some of that. And the other trend that we have seen is some complicated situations where people need to sell a home, whether it's locally or from another area, in order to buy a place here. So you can end up with these deals that have subject to sale and have many deals can actually be stacked up almost like dominoes. If one goes, all the rest of them will go. If one falls apart, they'll all fall apart. So we may continue to see more complicated situations. Those type of situations were not an option when the market was so hot in 2020 and 2021, and even into 2022. But I think this has become the new normal now, is we're going to see people need to sell before they can buy, and people are being cautious. People don't want to be overextended. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, I'm happy to give you some advice, some honest perspectives. Born and raised in Invermere, been a realtor for almost 6 years now, and it is really interesting to dig into these stats and look at some of the trends over time, and also give you a local perspective of why certain things have happened the way they've happened and some of the stories behind some of the developments. So reach out. My website is gerrytaft.ca, and all the contact information is there, and look forward to talking to you about the market here. Thank you very much.